Hardly a day goes by without some politician or activist or third-rate celeb lecturing us ordinary people on how we must change the way we live to avoid supposed catastrophic man-made climate change or man-made global warming or whatever it's called this week. But we've had the same warnings for years and years and years. Yet their doomsday predictions never actually happen. So I started looking on YouTube for a video exposing how supposed man-made global warming is a massive hoax which is not supported by any real scientific evidence. There are plenty of good videos available, but many are quite long and detailed. So I decided to make my own short video exposing the man-made climate change hoax in just 3 simple pictures. Here's the first picture. It shows the estimated Earth's temperature since 1850. This is often used by the warmies and politicians to supposedly prove that man-made global warming is happening. There are questions around how accurate this chart actually is because of problems with temperature measurement and deliberate fiddling with the figures. But let's leave these issues aside for the moment and accept that overall the chart is accurate in showing how global temperatures have risen. Let's assume there has been global warming since 1850. But the question remains, what is actually causing this warming? The warmies and greenies and eco-loons are clear on the answer to this question. It's human activity. According to their new religion, greater use of fossil fuels has increased the concentration of CO2 in the Earth's atmosphere. CO2 has gone from around a tiny 280 parts per million to a still tiny over 400 parts per million since the 1850s. As CO2 is supposedly a greenhouse gas, the greenies believe that this increase in CO2 levels must be largely responsible for global warming. The greenies, of course, forget to mention that global warming increases the amount of CO2 released by the oceans, which cover 2/3 of the Earth's surface. So the rise in CO2 levels may actually be the result of warming rather than its cause. But the real problem with this picture is that it covers an incredibly short period. Just 169 years in the millions of years the Earth has existed. Now let's step back and take a longer-term view of the Earth's climate in picture 2. Here's an estimate of climate changes over the last 10,000 years, taken from studies of Greenland ice cores. They show that we've had 9 warming periods over the last 10,000 years. Moreover, despite the increasingly frantic claims of impending climate catastrophe, all of these warming periods were warmer than today's warming so far. It's truly amazing how our ancestors managed to survive when today's greenies are screaming that we're all going to die. And so we move to picture 3, which goes back about 11,000 years. This is a simplified version of the previous picture. In this chart we see that we're moving out of a period called the Little Ice Age into what has been called the Modern Warm Period. The Little Ice Age lasted from about the 1300s to the 1850s, and of course, when you're moving from a mini ice age into a warming period, the Earth's temperature will rise. That's why the greenies and eco-loons so love the chart starting at 1850. It seems to conclusively prove that there is global warming. The only problem is that if you take a longer-term 10,000-year view, you'll see that the warming is part of a completely natural cycle of warming and cooling. So today's warming has absolutely nothing to do with human activity and is probably due to changing levels of solar activity and small regular deviations in the Earth's orbit around the Sun. Of course, the issue of climate change is a bit more complex than I can show in just 3 simple pictures. But hopefully these 3 simple pictures are sufficient to show that, yes, there is global warming, but that it is a totally natural phenomenon and has nothing whatsoever to do with human activity.